Might you be looking for that elusive fountain of youth? Well, I have news for you. It's right under your nose. Well, hello there. You have landed on the Air Hug Community Podcast, and my name is Judy Arizosa. I am your host. If you're new here, let me just give you the quickie on what we are all about. This is a podcast for living better, longer, and healthier during the second half of your life, aka midlife and beyond. Here we come to talk about all the things that literally affect our life. And sometimes we have guests, but today it's just me. So let's get started, okay? Yes, okay, let's get started. So look, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I don't have any funny lines today. I don't know, maybe something funny will come up. But here is the deal. That elusive fountain of youth is actually true friendship. Yep, it's a fact. Friends help you live longer. And believe it or not, those of us who work on strengthening our friendships tend to have longer and healthier lives. I mean, is that not great news? It's not gimmicky, it's not expensive. It does take a little bit of time. The beauty of this is that it's so worth it because what you put out there comes back to you, right? Anyways, what we're talking about today is a clinical review. I'm just kind of summarizing a clinical review of close to 150 studies that actually show that people with strong social ties had a 50% better chance of survival, regardless of age, sex, health status, and cause of death, than those with weaker friendship ties. I think that is just such exciting news. That, it's something that is totally in our control to be a friend to others. So get this alarming stat. There's a couple more. Having fewer friends was similar to smoking 15 cigarettes a day compared to people who had a handful of friends. And it was also considered more dangerous than being obese or sedentary. And whoa, think about what we know about the dangers of being obese and sedentary. In fact, there's a little meme going around that being sedentary is the new smoking. Right? And that people are really on the bandwagon. It's a good bandwagon to stay active. But let's get back to friendships. Okay, so what I want to say is we're referring to true friendships here. And that can be kind of funny. But what we know from these studies is that we don't need a long list of friends. And I want to point out that there's a difference between being friendly and having some true friends. Okay, now I'm not going to tell you not to be friendly, all right? But according to Robin Dunbar, who is a British anthropologist, our brain, I found this to be remarkably interesting. Our brain has room for just 5 true friends or BFFs. I don't like the word BFF, although I refer to it a lot, because I think when you have a group of friends, I think back to like a pajama party in like 9th grade, like, I'm your best friend. No, I'm your best friend. And people listing friends. True friends are true friends, and other people are acquaintances that you're friendly with. So I like to leave it at that in many ways, because then you're not offending anyone and nobody feels insecure about it. But anyways, let's get back to friendships. I just had a little flashback there to 9th grade. These things happen, right? Okay, so here's the thing is that people you categorize as true friends may not actually see you that way. And does it matter? The short answer is yes. Because relationships that are superficial and distant are less meaningful, and they lead to feelings of insecurity and loneliness. And they can also increase your risk of illness and death. Now, I suspect this is because of the stress related to that feeling of insecurity and loneliness, but I don't really know. That's my little interpretation here, just putting that out there so you know. But these feelings can actually increase the risk of illness and death on par with obesity, alcohol abuse, and smoking. So what does this mean? It means that This is how I see it. More is not better, right? Better is better. Okay, so if you think about what that anthropologist said, Robin Dunbar, you really only have room in your brain for about 5 true friends. I'm using the word true friends. Other people have used BFF, but I think you understand what I'm talking about here. So a handful of good friends is really great to nurture. Now, I'm going to repeat this. I'm not telling you to go out and be less friendly, right? But do be more nurturing to the friends that you do have. And who knows, when you end up being more friendly, maybe if you don't have 5 true friends, you may actually cultivate a friendship that becomes a true friendship. So keep that in mind about being friendly in general. Kindness goes a long way and it never hurts, right? Okay. So now, how can you nurture your friendships? How can you be a friend to someone who is your friend, right? Someone you consider a friend. Well, it's pretty simple, really. Consider what you can do to make your friend, and I include family and friendships, but to make your friend happier. Now go and do it. We're talking about action. Action, right? It's a do, not a be. It's a do, not a thing, right? So if you think about the word care, right? For casual friends, care is a noun. But for true friends, care is a verb. Do you get where I'm going here, right? It's not a person, place, or thing. It's an action. A verb equals action. So step in to help your friends. Be selfless. Friends help friends because they can, right? And because they want to. So to nurture a friendship, make the word care a verb. Support your friends, encourage your friends, help your friends, right? And if you don't know what to do, ask. Ask what you can do because friends are comfortable asking and friends don't mind being asked what you can do to help. So, want to live longer? Want to find that friendship of youth? Cultivate those 5. And I'm not saying it has to be 5, but cultivate a caring, action-based caring relationship with the people that you view as your friends. And one thing I can guarantee you, that when you're caring as a verb to others, it comes back to you. And that's not why you do it. You do it because you care as a noun, but you take that one step further and care as a verb. So this has been documented over and over again. People love to publish it. I've seen it in the Blue Zone communities. There's an Instagram guy and an author who writes about the blue zones. And blue zones are those areas of the world, I think at this point there are 6 of them, where they have the largest number of centenarians per whatever. I don't know. But they figured it out. They have a proportionately large number of centenarians, people who live to be 100 or more, compared to the rest of the world. And one of the things that you can see that the blue zone, every one of these blue zones, friendship is really important. And I just find this to be so reassuring, and I really adore having a few good friends and doing things with them. And so I wanted to share this because when it came up, I thought, gosh, we're always so technical and we kind of overthink things. Like it's just, what do we have to do now? Do we have to, I know I always talk about fitness and nutrition and reducing stress and getting sleep. But you know what? Friendship is easy and free and so rewarding for everyone who's involved. One of the things that definitely came out of the pandemic was the realization of how important friends were and how important it was just to call on our friends and make sure that we were in touch with them, especially when we were doing shelter in place. Make sure that we were in touch with them regularly. And that was one of the things that I made a point of doing, was to call the people that were dear to me and to just, hey, how you doing? Maybe we couldn't do much for them because we were all supposed to be away from each other, but at that point in time, conversation was really important. So thank you so much for listening today. And I'm going to say what I always say at the end of this podcast is that if you liked this podcast, please do us a favor and subscribe to it. So if you're on Apple or Spotify or some other podcast that allows you to subscribe, go to the top right corner and look at the little plus symbol and click on it. And that will help you, because then you will be getting notified whenever a new episode comes out, and it will help us to be able to get this episode out to more people who like it. In addition, if you could write a review, if you haven't yet, I would be so appreciative, because reviews are the lifeblood of podcasts, and it is my goal to get this podcast out to as many midlife people as possible. So listen, ta-ta for now. And next week, we are talking about trust again. This is going to be our trust part 2. We had our trust part 1 in episode number 133. And this is going to be trust part 2. I don't know if I'm going to call it trust part 2. I haven't really titled it yet. But you're not going to want to miss this. This is a really special perspective from a very special guest that we have coming next week. All right, I will see you next week. Bye. Thank you.